Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paula's Soapbox Live. For 32 years, you knew my guest as Barbara Ryan on As the World Turns. Since the show went off the air, she has returned to her roots, performing in numerous theatrical productions, including her one-woman show, Still Sassy. She's even popped up on a few web series as well, like Thurston and Tainted Dreams. I am so pleased to welcome to the show three-time Emmy nominee, Colleen Zenk.
Hi, Paula.
Colleen, hi. Hi. Thank you so much for doing this. I know this is a little different than what you're used to, but
I know, but this is fun. It's the new world, you know.
It's a new world. Yeah. Well, so a lot of people probably don't know this about you, and I didn't realize it until I started doing research. But you actually grew up on your grandparents' farm in Illinois.
I did. I spent, my first, I think we finally left when I was like 5 or 6. My parents had built a house at that point. And, but I spent my early years with my grandparents and milking cows. And I had my own little cornfield in the tractor tire that my grandfather built for me, which was my sandbox. And I would plant my own field of corn there in the summer. And then he would actually put a tarp over it in the winter so I could go out and play in the snow, under the tarp, in the sandbox.
Yeah.
And then he would take me sledding down the fields in the winter. And in the summer, during harvest time, I would help my grandmother get everything together for the hands and take lunch out there in the middle of the day. And they'd all take their big break. And of course, I was the little kid bringing everything around. And it was incredible. It was really incredible. I had my own milking stool too, even though it was we were all mechanized and everything, but I had my own little stool so Grandpa would let me go.
Right. Oh, that is so cool. I said that is so cool that you had your own little milking stool. So
milking stool, yeah.
Yeah. So do you think that kind of growing up on a farm or spending some of your childhood on a farm, do you think that helped you learn responsibility and discipline that would later benefit you in your entertainment career?
I think that the discipline was a couple of things. First of all, I was the first child of very young parents.
Yeah.
And they were very strict. And I went to a Catholic elementary school, and the nuns were very strict. But then I think what really taught me discipline was dance. And I started dancing when I was 3 years old. But I became very serious about it later on, and I was in a children's entertainment group in Chicago, and then got very serious in 7th grade and went to a very prominent ballet school in Chicago. And I got discipline whipped into me very quickly there. And then I left the ballet school and found my teacher, who was Gus Giordano, who I ended up working with in his company in Chicago. So it was really the discipline of the dance and discipline of the theater, because you can't slough off when you're in the theater, or if you're in a dance class or in a performance. You have to really. It's a really good question. I've never been asked that before. No, I haven't. But I think it was a combination of all those things.
Yeah. So do you know what got you into dance at 3 years old?
My mother.
Your mother.
My mother. My mother. Yeah, my mother. When I was 3, my mother was only 21. She had me very young, and there was a dance school a couple of towns down the road, and she took me in there, and my very first dance recital, I did the bunny hop, and I sang louder than anyone. And they realized that they had a ham on their hands. And then at 5 years old, I made my television debut at 5 years old.
Right.
Dancing, it was kind of like America's Got Talent, only in Chicago way back when. Back then, if anyone's old enough to remember the Ted Mack Amateur Hour, it was like only this was for Chicago. Yeah. And I danced with another young girl my age, and then we had an older 12-year-old dance with us as well. And we danced Autumn Leaves, and we kept winning and winning and winning every week. And back then, you had to mail in postcards for a vote. Right. Mail in postcards for a vote. And sure enough, we won the grand prize at the end of the year. So that was, I had a lot of exposure very young.
Yeah. And
And
you were 5 and you won a modeling contract
I was 5. Yeah, I
or
know.
modeling,
I won,
your
I won
modeling school.
it was, yeah, I won a scholarship to a modeling school at 5 years old. What am I going to do with that? Not much.
Right. So
I
what
took
did you
took the
take it
camera.
or? Yeah, 5 years old. Yeah.
You know,
So so I read that you grew up in a skating family, actually.
oh, and my mother's sister,
Yeah.
daughter, who's the one who lives in Pigeon Forge now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she was a big time in the skating world.
Yeah.
And she, at 19 years old, realizing she'd never make it to the Olympics because her style was not Peggy Fleming at the time,
Oh, yeah.
she was far more athletic and much more of a show woman.
Yeah.
And she was the youngest star ever signed on to Stars on Ice.
Oh, wow.
And so she was a soloist for Stars on Ice and also Ice Follies for, God, 10 years or so, until she
Yeah.
finally said, I got to hang up my skates now. So yeah, I skated some when I was little, but not like her. She was something. She actually even part of one of her solos in Stars on Ice was skating and also riding a unicycle,
Oh,
a unicycle,
oh,
and
wow.
jumping off of it with Russian splits. And this is before everything that happened with the skating world and all the athleticism that they have now, which was brought in really by my friend Scott Hamilton. And I met Scott, who lives in Franklin.
Oh,
Yeah, and I met Scott in '83, the year before he went to the Olympics in Sarajevo and won the gold medal. And he and I became fast buddies.
yeah.
And the world changed with Scott Hamilton. The whole skating world changed with Scott Hamilton.
Yeah. And he actually taught your daughter how to skate?
He did. He did. He when Kelsey was like maybe 3 years old. He did a lot of research.
Yeah.
That's really funny. When Kelsey was 3, when Scott would come into New York, we would go to a place that's no longer there called oh God, can't remember the name of it. I can tell you right where it is, but I can't remember the name of it now because it's gone. But we would go and meet Scott there, and he would take her out in the ice and just and pull her along and teach her how to be on 2 blades. And then of course the thrill was he was always coming in to do a show, and we got to sit not just ringside, but he had seating on the ice for every show. It was pretty.
Oh,
Cool.
wow.
It was pretty
That
cool.
is cool.
Yeah. Actually, I just spoke to him on Twitter a couple days ago. So
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
we still keep up.
So do you remember what your first professional gig was? Because I know you've been working obviously professionally since you were 9.
My first professional gig was probably print work. I mean, I did a lot of modeling and print work back then, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm celebrating this year as my 50th year as a member of SAG-AFTRA, Screen Actors Guild, and
Yeah.
American Federation of Television and Radio Artists. It's my 50th year, and I'm 64. And but I started working professionally when I was 9, and I did a lot of print work, a lot of commercials. I did the very first Pop-Tart commercial. I did the very first Danish Go-Round commercial, which doesn't exist anymore. I did so many commercials back then, and then I did a series of commercials for a brand new product called Kellogg's Mini Wheats.
Oh, yeah. I'm
And
familiar with that product.
So am I. We have it in the kitchen, and
Yeah.
and I did a number of commercials for them because I'd done a television show in Chicago called The New Performers,
Mhm.
and and because the ad agency that takes care of Kellogg's is in Chicago, they looked at this television show, a musical that I did for NBC, and they picked a few of us out, and we did all these commercials. And so, my adage was Kellogg's put me through college, which they did.
Yeah.
Kellogg's put me
Wow.
through college. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And then at 22, you moved to New York, right?
22, after college, I went to Catholic University of America, more discipline. And I went to New York at 22. And a few months before I actually moved, I was there visiting, and I auditioned. I had a terrific agent in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So she was able to get me in the door to a lot of places in New York right off the bat. And I got very lucky. My very first audition for a musical, I got the lead in Where's Charlie, opposite Ken Berry. If anybody remembers Ken Berry from F Troop
Mm-hmm.
and Mama's Family.
Yeah.
And he was a hoofer, and he did the lead in Where's Charlie, and which was Ray Bolger's big claim to fame on Broadway. And I played opposite him. And I got lucky. In the first few weeks after I moved to New York in June of '75, I screen tested for Guiding Light, All My Children, As the World Turns, Another World, Search for Tomorrow, all in the first few months I was there, and everybody turned me down. Everybody turned me down. I didn't get booked. I didn't get a job, but I did a lot of commercials.
Yeah.
So I did more dancing commercials. I did, first off was Dr. Pepper before the I'm a Pepper. I was the very last one of the old jingle.
Yeah.
And that is nowhere to be found on YouTube, but the song is there. The song is me singing. And then I did a bunch of a series of disco ones for 7 Up and Crazy Glue. And I was kind of known as the one who could dance. And I was the new kid in town.
Yeah.
And so I got hired a lot because I was a fresh face.
Yeah. Well,
I'm very lucky.
And you know, as a young actress doing commercials, that's a great way to make money.
Oh, and back then, you know, you don't make as much now because the laws and the rules have changed so much with the unions. But it was terrific. I was very fortunate. And then it took 3 years before I screen tested for the part of a hooker on As the World Turns, and then I went out of town to do an industrial show in Kansas City for John Deere tractors, and I was literally in the center of their huge conference center there, trying to keep out of the way of the tractors and the combines, and singing things like "Me and my John Deere plow, we're a team that can't be beat." Me and my tambourine.
Oh, wow.
I kid you not. And I got a phone call when I got back to the hotel that night from my agent, and he said, "Okay, As the World Turns wants you, but they don't know what they want to do with you. So they're gonna put you on contract and pay you, and when they figure out what they want to do, they'll tell you when to start." And so I had 6 weeks to sit around and wait, and they finally said, "You're going to start on September 6th, and the role is Barbara Ryan."
Wow. And I mean, and they put you on contract.
Oh, no, nobody
wanted you.
You know, they don't do that anymore. And I was auditioning for the part of a hooker. I'm like, it's such Middle West.
Right.
It didn't work, but they saw something they liked, obviously, and they just had to figure out what they wanted to do.
Yeah. Well, remind everyone what today is.
Okay, today, and I had to tell you what today is.
Right,
Today is
I know.
June 23rd, 2017. June 23rd, 2010 was our very last day of production on As the World Turns. And at the end of the day, they went set by set. I can't remember who went first, but I think I was the second to the last. And Henry and Barbara had all their scenes.
Yeah.
And at the end of all of our scenes, if it was the big last dance that they had together, and at the end of every group of scenes, our executive producer, Christopher Gottman, would come out. And this is how they do it in film. And he would say, "Ladies and gentlemen," I'm going to cry, "Ladies and gentlemen, Colleen Zenk and Trent Dawson," and the entire company would applaud. And then the very last group were the scenes with Bob and Kim. and Susan. And the very last thing that, oh,
You're gonna make me cry.
you got me. The very last thing that happened that they shot was when Don Hastings, Bob Hughes, turned off the light in his office and the camera panned over to the world. And the world started spinning.
Yeah.
And that was the very last shot of the show.
Oh,
And then afterwards, we all gathered down in the farmhouse kitchen, the Snyder kitchen, and there was champagne and there were lots of toasts and people spoke and then after we all there were like 300 of us in this company,
right.
and after we all spoke and toasted and hugged and kissed, the crew went out and started tearing down all the sets. And I actually took pictures. I'd never released them. And I took pictures of the big, giant storage crates that would say Barbara's apartment, Barbara's Lakeview Suite, or, the Lakeview, or whatever. My voice is all catching here. And so we went around and watched everything being torn down. And then we all went around the corner to a bar and had lots of wine.
Yeah.
It was a very sad day. Very sad day. So that was 7 years ago today.
Oh, wow.
And then the following week, we all got on a plane and went out to the Emmys and had our last Emmys together as a group. And then the following week after that, I started rehearsals for an off-Broadway musical. So I never had the chance to mourn, which was a good thing for me because I'm not good with sitting around. I'm not good with downtime at all.
Right. Yeah.
I need to be always like this because that's been my life, my whole life. And that's the discipline you're talking about.
Yeah.
So I went right into rehearsals for this show in New York. And that took care of about 6 weeks. And I don't remember what I did after that. Not right now, I can't remember. If I go back and look at my books and my calendar and my file effects, I'm sure I can. But that took care of my summer. Oh, and my mother came out. That's what it was. My mom came out. Oh. And that was 2 years after my mom's first diagnosis, and her cancer came back that summer. So that's what I did at the end of my summer.
Yeah.
So, yep.
Yeah, you've had a lot on you've had a lot on your plate since As the World Turns. Well, you had a lot on your plate when As the World Turns was on the air. Obviously.
My divorce was going through too. So that then there's that.
Right. It kind of pushed the As the World Turns thing aside.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Well, I know that you wanted to land on a soap, which is, you don't hear that a lot, but you wanted to land on a soap to work on your craft.
I did.
So,
I did. Because my background was musical theater, and I didn't get the acting training that I thought that I needed. So I figured, and this is what I kept hearing from all the different casting agents who turned me down in the beginning from all those other shows, is that she needs something under her belt. Mm-hmm. She needs to get some experience. So I knew that the best place to do that would be on the job. So I really, really wanted to get on a show. And when I landed on this show, my agent was thrilled because he said, that's the quality show in town.
Yeah.
The best actors are there. The best writing is there. And you will fit in beautifully. And my agent was right.
Yeah.
Well,
do you think that it's to the detriment of young up-and-coming actors today that there aren't as many soap operas around to kind of work on their training?
It's horrible. I mean, we have nothing left in New York. And the thing about there were I think there were 7 shows being shot in New York when I started in '78. And the thing about that is when you do theater in New York, unless you're doing a lead on a Broadway show, then you're making some good money. But if you're doing off-Broadway or off-Broadway, you're making next to nothing. Even now, you're making next to nothing. And so as an actor, you have to supplement your income, whether you do it waiting tables or bartending or working in a store or whatever. You have to find somewhere else to supplement your income. So if you as a young actor could get, a couple days on a soap once a month, even like as an extra, it would supplement enough that you could survive in New York City. Of course, New York City is 10 times more expensive now than it was back then, but it's also 10 times more safe than it was.
Well, yeah.
Pretty safe town now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I know that a few years after you joined As the World Turns, Anthony Herrera came on.
My darling Anthony.
Yeah. So was it clear right away that they were going to make Barbara and James a couple?
Oh yeah. Oh, from day one. Oh,
Mhm.
I knew that from day one. In fact, we didn't even shoot scenes in the city. I mean, in the studio before they put us on a plane for the Dominican Republic to go down and shoot all the location scenes with Barbara and
James.
James and all of their flashbacks.
Yeah.
They, we were doing that before we actually worked in the studio together, which can be a little awkward.
Yeah.
And he was 9 years older than me, and
Uh-huh.
and far more sophisticated, and had lived in LA and lived in New York for a long time and done a lot of work, and he was also from Mississippi.
Oh.
He was from Wiggins, Mississippi, and he went to Old Miss, which of course you can never imagine James Stenbeck, but that was who Anthony
Right.
really was. And he was an English lit major. He was extremely intelligent and extremely knowledgeable about literature and poetry.
Yeah.
Poetry and film. And he was a huge John Wayne fan. And his favorite John Wayne film was The Searchers. And back in those days, I was compared to Natalie Wood a lot. So he liked me from the beginning.
Oh.
We got along really well in the beginning, and then after a few years, I wanted to kill him. But that happens
Yeah.
in real life too.
Right. Yeah. You were like an old married couple anyway. So.
And there were a couple of years where we had he was driving me crazy, but those years passed, and we were really we were really close, really close. And after this show went off the air, I still saw him a lot, and we did things together. And his passing was a blow to all of us, big time.
Yeah. Well, I think that it was to the fans too, because he had such a following,
Yeah.
and he was, yeah, he played a villain, but everyone loved him.
I know, because he had a twinkle.
Yeah.
And, he did twirl his mustache a little bit,
Yeah.
as an actor, but it was always fun. It was always fun with him, and the fans never knew what to do, what to
Yeah.
believe. But the biggest thing was when he came back the first time with "Hello, Barbara," and
Yeah.
which was not only a big surprise for the fans, it was a big surprise for everybody, even in the studio. And nobody knew. I knew, producers, writers, but nobody knew because they changed the name in all the scripts. So nobody knew he was coming back till the day he showed up on the set.
Oh, wow. And
Very
something
cool.
like that cannot be kept secret today.
Well, they did. They just did with Kimberlin Brown.
Well, that's true. Yeah, I had forgotten about that. Yeah. Yeah, because I didn't even see that coming at all.
No.
So I'm surprised that wasn't leaked.
When she showed up at the big the CBS class photo that we did in January with everybody from the shows, and they brought her back for that, I thought something's going on.
Right.
Something in mind. She claimed she didn't know at the time, but I don't believe her.
Oh, yeah, she knew. She knew.
But I'm thrilled for her, and she looks great. I've known her forever. We used to play golf together. But anyway, yeah. But that was a long time ago where he came back for the very first time.
Yeah.
And I still keep up with Hugo Napier, who played Gunnar Stenbeck.
Yeah.
And he's moved to Mallorca, and he just had a birthday a couple days ago. He turned 71. And,
wow.
Yeah, I know. Still looks great. Still playing the saxophone, and living the life over there in Mallorca.
Wow.
Pretty cool. Yep.
That is cool.
Yeah.
So who else are you in touch with from the show?
I'm in touch with Martha Byrne, obviously.
Yeah.
And Maura West. Maura and I talk often.
Yeah.
And Katie McLean. And Trent Dawson. Does everybody know?
Yeah.
Trent and his wife have 2 babies now. They have 2 babies.
Wow. I knew they got married, but I didn't know they had kids already.
2 babies. They have
wow.
a little boy, Jack, and a brand new baby girl. And oh my God, I'm so happy for them. It took him a long time to find the right woman.
Yeah.
He found her on Match.com.
Oh,
And
wow.
she's an attorney, and I love her. And I'm very close with them.
Yeah.
And Trent is nothing like Henry. Nothing like Henry. He's a fabulous, wonderful, glorious actor.
Yeah.
I adore him. And I talked to Eileen not long ago, Eileen Fulton. I've not talked to Kathy Hayes for a while. I saw Liz Hubbard, as I said, in January. Don Hastings. I was just thinking about Don a couple of days ago, and I'm trying to remember why, because something came on TV, and I thought, I need to call Don. But Don and his wife, Leslie, I see them. Marie Masters, who plays Susan.
Yeah.
And Michael Park. Oh my God, Michael Park, who's on Broadway right now, and Dear Evan.
Right. He's doing really well on Broadway.
This is his third Broadway show since the show went down. Third Broadway show. So he did How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying, and then he did another Peter Pan. It was based on the movie. I can't think of the name. And then of course Dear Evan Hansen, which he'd been working on for quite a while. And I'm just so thrilled for him because, you know, he came from theater too. And the interesting thing is, those of us who came from theater, like Michael, Trent, me, we're the ones that are still working in theater. Yeah. I keep up with Kelly, who's given up the business, played, you know.
She's,
my nemesis, Emily.
Yeah. Emily, yeah.
Emily Stewart, she's out of the business. She's left.
Well, I know that she was on Tainted Dream, so she's totally out now.
Well, she was out before that. They brought her back.
Oh, okay.
They brought her back for that. It was produced by one of our directors from World Turns and directed by another director from World Turns. So they brought her out for that, and I was really glad. I was so thrilled, and I hadn't seen her at all.
Yeah.
So when we got that, we were both just weeping the whole time. You know, because we were so happy to see each other, and. But she's living back in Chicago. She grew up not far from me, only not in a farm town like mine. So I talk to her, you know, fairly often. Ellen Dolan, who's back, who left the city for a while, left the business for a while, and moved out to Colorado. But she's back she's on Long Island now, and living there with her family. And Roger, my Paul Ryan, not the secretary. Never mind.
Right.
Not that Paul Ryan.
The other Paul Ryan.
The real Paul Ryan.
Yeah.
The real one. He, you know, of course, you know, he's on GH doing so fabulously, but he's hard to get a hold of, and I miss him because I adored him. And during my my couple of years with cancer, he was the one that always made me laugh. Yeah. He was the one that kept my spirits up. And he would bring me books to read and poetry and inspiration, and made sure that I laughed every day, which is pretty cool. And it's pretty rare to find someone who will do that. Oh my God. And here again, he's nothing like the characters that he plays, nothing. And then our beloved head of makeup department, Eldo Stamos, who lives not far from me in New York, and when I'm in New York, I see him probably a couple times a week, and we're extremely close. He's like my little brother. Yeah. And I, you know, we talk all the time. I mean, thank God for phones, cell phones, and and Twitter, and all of that. Oh, you know who I just saw? I just saw Leah Salunga, who played Tom's Vietnamese daughter. A long time ago. And she won the Tony Award for the original Miss Saigon. She played the lead, and she was Miss Saigon. And she won the Tony Award for that when she was 19 years old.
Oh, wow.
And now she's in her 40s. And I just saw her down here in Florida at a concert. And I actually put a picture up on Facebook if anybody saw it. And it was just so great to see her. She's always been so wonderful. Yeah. So she went to see Michael Park recently and Evan Hansen, and they were together at the Tonys. So
wow!
I was, you know, tweeting them all day long. So yeah, thank God for Twitter.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the social media and like you said, the cell phones and the texting and everything, it makes it so much easier to be able to stay
I
in
know.
touch. And, when you're on a show for that long, it's
It's family.
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 Yeah.
I talk to a lot of our crew often.
Yeah.
They're always commenting, and a lot of them have moved down here to the Florida area and have retired. And a lot of them are still working up in New York at CBS or ABC or NBC. So it's great. We were family. We were family.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah. So, what came as more of a surprise to you? The fact that Barbara and Henry ended up together, or the fact that Henry was James Steinbeck's son?
Well, anything is possible with Stenbeck, so that didn't surprise me. But the fact that Henry and Barbara ended up together, and of course, God, Trent and I, we have very similar comedy skills and a similar sense of humor. Um, and we've been wanting to work together for so long. And the only time we ever got to do it was when Barbara was kidnapped. And we always laughed about the doggy door, which I don't know if you ever saw any of that.
I missed a lot of that. I saw bits and pieces of some of that, but yeah.
Go back and find it. It's just absurd.
Yeah.
And that was really the only time we really got a chance to work together until all of this at the end.
Yeah.
And of course, the writers, in retrospect, said, "Why didn't we put you guys together years ago?"
Yeah.
Years ago, because they loved the magic that we created. Of course, the magic was on the page. We just made it alive,
Yeah.
But oh my God, I loved working with Trent. Oh my God, we had a ball.
You guys should make a web series spinoff of Barbara and Henry.
Barbara,
The two of you.
well, actually, if you go to YouTube, there is a channel called Henry Loves Babs.
Yes, I saw that channel actually.
That was actually all the clips, all of the montages to all the Katy Perry songs and everything
Yeah.
were made by a now friend. She was a fan in the beginning. I had no idea who she was. She's now a friend in Vancouver, Canada. And she created all of these because she had been very ill. She's a cancer survivor too. And she made all of these incredible montages and put together the whole site when she was so ill a number of years ago.
Wow.
And then she came out east. I got to know her. She's young. She's, oh God, Stephanie's maybe 35 now. And she was quite young when she put it all together. And she's now a wonderful friend. She's come around the country to see me when I've been performing in plays here and there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's fun.
Really cool.
In fact, through that and through a lot of the fans that came to me when the show went off the air, a lot of them have become real friends of mine.
Yeah.
And, which I don't know if that happens in other parts of this business. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know the soap opera genre is different in that respect. There's a real camaraderie between the fans and the people who were involved with the shows that I don't think that there's that kind of connection with any other aspect of the entertainment industry.
No, I don't think so either. And it's been very special. It's been really, really special. So, if I'm doing a show somewhere, like I was doing a show in Dayton, Ohio 2 years ago, and all kinds of people showed up. In fact, that whole group of women who have now become friends, they all came from all parts of the country. They're all friends together, which is crazy.
Right. Yeah.
I know. So,
well, and a lot of that kind of camaraderie happened when you had the team Colleen. They were trying to get you on Dancing with the Stars. That was them. Okay, I wondered.
Oh my God! Yeah, one was from actually one was from my hometown, and her mother and my mother grew up together. They were best friends. So she spearheaded that whole thing.
Yeah.
And then another fan was from Detroit. Then there was the one from Vancouver, and then another one was the mayor of a major city in Massachusetts, and I won't tell you which one, but she was actually the mayor of the city, and she's a real theater hound, and so they've all become friends together, bonded together, but then all of us too. And they're and their team Colleen.
Yeah. And you still need to be on Dancing with the Stars.
It will never happen. It will, it will never happen. It could have happened then, but it was too close to when the show went off the air, and I worked for CBS, and that show is ABC.
Right. Yeah.
And we had conversations because we had 13,000 people who signed up on the website for needs to, and I always objected to the word needs, but I didn't set up the website.
You need to be on Dancing with the Stars.
But yeah, we had over 13,000 fans who signed up for that, and which is formidable. Which is, when they got Betty White on SNL, it was because there were 13,000 people. Yeah. So they thought that was the goal, and ABC said, I don't think that's going to work. And we had conversations for a while, and I was very disappointed. I really thought it might happen.
Yeah. Well, I knew that there was a little bit of back and forth, but I didn't know what ultimately happened with it.
Yeah, the network thing.
Yeah. The network. Well, it usually comes down to something like that.
Most of the people are. I have to say, you don't quite know who they all are.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in 2007, while As the World Turns was still on the air, this was when you had your cancer diagnosis. Obviously, you had oral cancer twice. When you first had it, though, what was your first inkling that something was not right?
I had a cold sore that would not go away under my tongue. Mm-hmm. And it was kind of dismissed by my dentist. And your dentist is your first line of defense in this particular kind of cancer. Whether it's tongue cancer, throat cancer, gum cancer, there are many different kinds of cancer, esophageal, throat. Your dentist is your first line of defense. And my dentist just kind of dismissed it. And it kept growing and getting bigger and more painful. And it was awful looking. And I had seen my dentist in July, and in January, first week of January, I had a physical with my regular doctor. And I said, would you just take a look at this? And he went, you're going to go see an oral surgeon tomorrow. I went, really? He said, yeah, you've got to have it looked at tomorrow. Long story made short, the oral surgeon did not think it was cancer because I had no risk factors.
Right.
Never smoked. Drinking, it's the combination. You have to be a heavy drinker and then have a combination of the smoking. Those are the biggest risk factors right there.
Right.
And this was before they discovered that there's another one, which I'll mention in a minute.
Yeah.
And so the oral surgeon treated it as a combination fungal bacterial infection for 6 weeks before he finally biopsied it. By the time he biopsied it, there was nothing left there but raw tumor, and it came back cancer. My ex-husband hadn't been home for months. He was in California, and I was home alone with the children. And the day I was diagnosed was actually my daughter's 13th birthday. I always get that confused. 14th, I think. No, 14th birthday. And she was in 8th grade. And I had to go back and deal with, okay, we're having a birthday party. We're having everybody here for the birthday. Forget about the cancer. And I went to work the next day. I didn't tell anybody. And the day after that, I had a day off. And I went over to a girlfriend's house and told her. And then I called Chris Goutman, our executive producer, and told Chris. And he said, well, what are you going to do? I said, I don't know what's going to happen here. He said, well, whatever I can do to help you, I'm behind you 100%. We will do whatever you need. And long story made short, and this is my advice, I went to what I call Doctor Number One, who gave a very different prognosis, different kind of treatment. I did not like what I was hearing from him. And I'd taken my older daughter along with me to be a set of ears, and also another girlfriend with me whose husband had just had a heart transplant. So she knew how to talk to doctors at a certain level and what to listen for. Because I was just hearing it, and I was not being able to take in all the information I was being given. And I came back, and I just started spinning. And that night I got on the internet because I was told not to go on the internet. So I got on the internet, and I found a website for the Oral Cancer Foundation. And I went through the website, I read everything I possibly could, and then somewhere I found a phone number. I called that phone number. This is 2 days after I was diagnosed. I called that phone number and I left a message. And later that night, the phone rang, and it was the executive director of the Oral Cancer Foundation, and that had been his cell phone. So from the beginning, I had someone guiding me through what to do. And the first thing he said was, you need a second opinion. I went, I know I do. I just don't know where to go. I could go here. I could go there. I'm getting all kinds of recommendations. I ended up at Yale, which could not have been a better choice for me. Not the right choice for everybody, but it was the right choice for me. And I ended up having a partial glossectomy, meaning they removed half of my tongue and leaving the top layer of taste buds. Then they took the left side of all the musculature that was left of the tongue and literally sculpted a new tongue for me with this muscle that was left over here. They created, my doctor, it's like a sculptor, created a whole new tongue for me. And you can't imagine the pain. The tongue was like this big, like this fat. I couldn't close my mouth. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't do anything. And then I thinking that was the end of it. I go in 2 weeks later and meet with the radiation oncologist who says, we're going to go this route. It's something called brachytherapy. What's brachytherapy? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's the implantation of radioactive rods into the tongue. So I had 30 radioactive rods implanted in the tongue. And it's not a nice thing to have happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the burning is just unreal. Anyone who's had any kind of radiation for whatever knows what kind of burning. Imagine rods in the most sensitive organ in your body.
Yeah. Is this sort of on the same level as what they do with prostate cancer a lot with the seed implant type things?
Exactly right. Only there's not a lot of pain down there.
Right. Yeah.
You know, so, but yeah, it is. And and they're all still there because the rods don't come out.
Oh, okay.
And the radioactivity dies off if you go back to your science classes. I won't go into all of it. I mean, it was a real trial. And the thing was, in between all of these different surgeries, I had another surgery after that too, a few weeks after that. I would go back to work. And everyone was so great at work, but the fans thought I'd had a stroke.
Right.
Because I was slurring so badly.
Yeah.
They thought I'd had a stroke. So I worked through that, and I actually went off and I did Stephen Sondheim's musical Follies 3 months after April, May, June, 3 months after the original surgery, and started that with Ann B. Davis. Remember Ann B. Davis from the Brady Bunch?
Yes. Yeah.
Ann B. Davis and Susan Seaforth Hayes and Doug Hayes. And it was a thrill. But so I got back from that, and the head of the Oral Cancer Foundation, whose birthday is today, by the way. Happy birthday, Brian.
Wow.
Happy birthday, Brian. And he's a 13-year survivor. And I called him. I said, okay, I'm ready. Let's go. Because he told me I had to really think about it and get well first. So he said, okay, let's come up with a plan. And the first thing we did, I went to Christopher Goutman, my executive producer, and said, how do you feel about writing my cancer into Barbara's storyline? Yeah. He said, I was waiting for you to ask. We've already talked about it.
Yeah.
So I worked with the writers. They worked with the Oral Cancer Foundation. They wanted to make sure they got everything right. Yeah, and it was then the following January that Barbara was diagnosed. And the writers went a different way about how they dealt with the treatment. Because if they had done to Barbara what was done to me, it wouldn't work acting-wise, story-wise. So the irony is when my cancer returned at the end of '08, and I had a neck dissection, which is what it sounds like. It's like a decapitation, and had 22 nodes, lymph nodes taken out. Then I went through, Colleen went through the treatment that the writers had already put Barbara through. And that was the irony of the whole thing. Barbara didn't have that section, but she talked about the mask and the radiation and all that. So yeah, I went through 5 weeks of IMRT radiation in early '09, and my mother and I, we had mother-daughter every other year cancer for a few years. Yeah. And I got her up to Yale as well. So she was being treated up at Yale because she would come up every summer during hurricane season. Oh, and I'm in Florida. And, but, and so, I'm clear. I've had a number of surgeries since then. I've had 12 surgeries in total.
Yeah.
May, but nothing, it was benign. But they just keep taking things out of me that they don't like. So, anyway, I'm okay. I'm okay. Yeah. Get an oral cancer screening. It takes 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes.
What exactly does that entail?
It entails literally the dentist with gloves on. They will look inside your mouth. They will feel around the inside, around your teeth, inside of the gum, outside of the gum, up here. They'll feel in your neck, feel for any kind of lymph nodes, feel for any kind of bumps. They will look down your throat to see if they see anything. That's the way it's always been done. Now there are a couple of tools that have come on the market where they can possibly tell by a saliva swab if there's anything that looks bad. But it's really visual. It's really visual and tactile.
Yeah. And everyone needs to be checked for this.
Whenever you go into the dentist, you make sure you ask for oral cancer screening.
Yeah.
There are many places around the country that give, April is Oral Cancer Awareness Month, and all over the country there are free screenings everywhere. And you can just probably Google, free screening in my area and go somewhere and get a free one. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned, you kind of touched on this before, but we never really got into it, that the HPV is a factor.
It sure is. And when I was first diagnosed, they were trying to, as I was told, connect the dots between oral cancer and HPV. And a year after I was first diagnosed, they did. Yeah. And that's when they started recommending, help me out, the name of the vaccine.
Oh, is it Gardasil?
There it is, Gardasil, thank you. Gardasil vaccine. And in the beginning, they were only recommending the Gardasil vaccine for young girls. Right. Well, guess what, guys? It's a sexually transmitted disease. You can't vaccinate half the population and expect it to be okay. So they finally, a couple years later, and this is not from the oral cancer people, they were pushing it the whole way. This is from, the ADA. They finally started recommending all young people in their teens, early teens, start getting the Gardasil vaccine to not only prevent, and I talk about this all over the country with all different kinds of groups, so I hope nobody gets offended by my language here, but preventing cervical cancer, preventing oral cancer, men and women, preventing anal cancer, and preventing, which is Farrah Fawcett died of,
Yeah.
And preventing penile cancer. So everybody's protected with the Gardasil vaccine. And I know there's been a controversy with a lot of parents about not wanting their thinking that this is giving their children permission to have sex. Not true.
Yeah.
You're taking care of your kids. You're just taking care of your kids. That's all.
Yeah.
Like you would get a polio vaccine when we were little.
Yeah.
And, you're taking care of your kids.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a safeguard as far as like protecting you against other sexually transmitted diseases. It's this one that can cause all different kinds of cancer.
It can kill you. It can kill you.
It can kill you. Yeah. Well, I know with the oral cancer, there was a high rate of recurrence, and obviously, if you're not looking for it, the longer it goes, like any type of cancer, really, the harder it is to treat.
Right. Exactly.
So it's definitely something, and we don't hear a lot about that kind of cancer, oral cancer. As women, we're always taught about the big female cancers, but oral cancer is not something that we hear about a lot. So it's good that you're speaking out.
Well, there are 35,000 people that will be diagnosed this year alone. Every year it's 35,000 people. And if you go to the Oral Cancer Foundation website, they have not only information, but they have a personality section where you can look at either sports figures, performers, actors, historians, everybody from, you ready? George Harrison and Casey Stengel, Babe Ruth. I'm trying to think of back. Lana Turner. She and I are the only women on the entire site. And Michael Douglas, the actor, and I are the only people living that are on that. Everybody else is gone. And there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people. Go to the Oral Cancer website, oralcancerfoundation.org.
Okay.
Take a look. It's very scary and very informative. And go.
Yeah, I read a little bit about it when I was doing research, and I was shocked by the statistics for oral cancer because, like I said, this is not something that you hear about that much.
And I've had incredible results. Most people who go through, if you know who Roger Ebert is, the film critic, if you ever saw Roger at the end of his life, he had half of a face.
Yeah.
Because he had oral cancer, and they had to remove his entire jaw. Yeah. And at the end, he couldn't even speak, and he just was able to type and get information out that way. And you can, if you see somebody anywhere in the grocery store, and they either have a very, 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 very skinny neck like this, or they only have half a face, and you don't know what happened, they had oral cancer.
Yeah.
Because if it goes too far into, for example, your jaw, there's nothing they can do. They have to literally remove bone.
Yeah.
They remove bone, and they remove your face, and there's nothing more horrifying than that, because your face is what you present to the world.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and especially if you're an entertainer, it had to come as a huge.
Yeah, I had to completely relearn how to speak, and as the years have gone on, I've developed more and more scar tissue in my tongue. So my slur has become more prominent. So if I'm doing a play, I have to really make sure that I articulate very precisely so you can't hear the slur as much. But if I'm just talking casually to someone, it sounds like I've had a couple glasses of wine. And I haven't, but that's what it sounds like.
So have you had to have like speech therapy or that sort of thing to kind of?
Well, I went one time to the speech therapist, and I went, oh, I know all these exercises. I don't need to come back. I can do this on my own. And going to work is the best thing that happened to me, is having to go work with those words. And in the beginning, if there was a word that I couldn't say, I would change the word in the script because I couldn't pronounce it.
Right.
I couldn't pronounce a lot of things for a long time. The S's are the hard part.
I would imagine. Yeah, I was going to say that, probably just being able to just do that as a routine to speak, and that was probably great therapy for you.
It was, and for my head. And for Roger Howarth making me laugh.
Yeah. So did you find that it was ultimately cathartic for you to have this play out on screen?
No. It was really hard. It was much harder than I thought it was going to be. Much harder. And I'm glad when we got through the difficulty of it. But for example, when Barbie had to talk to Lucinda or talk to Kim or talk to Lisa and tell them what was going on or talk to her children, it was really difficult for me. I had a hard time. I had a really, really hard time with it. But the hardest day was the very first day when Barbara received her diagnosis, because that was the day we shot the PSA, the public service announcement that I did for the Oral Cancer Foundation and for oral cancer. We finished shooting my scenes where I'd just gotten the diagnosis, and Chris Goutman came out to direct the PSA. And I had it memorized and everything, and I'd helped write it. I got one sentence into it, and I just burst into tears. I burst into tears, and I was like, sorry, guys, sorry. I said, give me a break. Just give me a second. Chris came over and hugged me. And I said, okay, let's go again. That happened like 4 times. I could not get through the words.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get through the words. It was really hard. And anyway, I'm glad that part of the story was over. But the other thing I was grateful for with the writers was that they didn't forget about it like so many other storylines where somebody has an ailment and they forget about it down the road.
Yeah.
I'm so frankly that they're still dealing with Nikki and her MS. I bravo that you're still dealing with that. But the fact that they carried it through my cancer until the end of the show, to the very, very end, I was just so happy about that. It made me proud that I was able to bring it to the attention of the public, and be a spokesperson for just a debilitating, horrible, horrible disease. Horrible.
So have you heard stories from other people who have been helped by you speaking out?
I mean, I can't tell you how many people would write me on Facebook, and I would literally pick up the phone and call them and say, okay, what can I do? I mean, people just didn't know what to do. I mean, there were so many people that I helped get to a different facility, a cancer facility, from all over the country. We talked to them, or just talk to them, or talk to somebody who'd been diagnosed, or talk to a parent. And that still goes on, but not as much as it did a few years ago.
Yeah.
And I think people are hopefully more aware now. But there was a deluge of email into my website and fan mail. I mean, it was overwhelming. It was really, and it made me feel like I was really making, I was helping, you know.
Yeah.
That's me.
So do you feel like experiencing all that has changed you as a person or even as a performer?
Oh my God. It changed me so much as a performer. I don't think that well, a couple things happened. You know, I had a divorce in the middle of my second round of cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And after 25 years. And that killed me. The cancer almost killed me, but the divorce almost killed me.
Yeah.
But what happened afterwards, I was so freed up as an actor. And I don't know what it was. I mean, I had this conversation with Trent and with Chris Goutman and many of my other colleagues on the show. I don't think I would have been able to perform and act the material they gave Barbara those last few years had I not gone through all of that.
Yeah.
There was a freeing up, like, okay, I've got nothing else to lose now.
Yeah.
You know, I can do anything. Put me in the warehouse with the stupid clown, you know. You can do anything to me and I will give it right back to you. And the writers saw that too. And that's why they had so much fun with me at the end, you know.
Yeah. That's awesome. So what did you save from your time on As the World Turns?
What did I what?
What did you save? What did you save? Like some of Barbara's things, what did you save?
Oh, save.
Yeah.
I couldn't understand you there, Fran. Oh my God. I bought almost my entire wardrobe, which is saying a lot because Barbara had a lot of clothes. I bought almost everything. I bought the chandelier from what was the name of the bar where Barbara and Henry had their disco dance? Can you remember the name of that bar? Oh God. But there was a huge, beautiful crystal chandelier on the staircase going up. And I bought that. And I bought the beautiful silk barrel back chair that was done in like a black and an olive damask that Barbara used to skulk around in when she was going through her scarred phase.
Yeah.
I bought that. I bought a bunch of other lovely chairs, which I've given to friends now. And that was probably it. It was that chandelier and that chair were my two favorite things that I brought back. And all of those beautiful clothes.
Yeah. Barbara had some amazing clothes, but she had to.
Oh my God. I know. A few of them are down there.
Wow.
Yeah. But yeah, it was the clothes, and I can almost fit into all of them still, kind of, almost. But yeah, I had some beautiful, beautiful things that they bought me.
Well, after the show went off the air, Days of Our Lives offered you a part.
There was a bit of a talk, and I said no.
Yeah.
I
Just wasn't the right time, or
actually forgot all about that. I just
yeah.
said no. I just said no. You know, if I go play anywhere, I'd like to go play with my friends at Young and the Restless or at Bold and Beautiful. You know, I know so many of those people for so long. I've known Peter Bergman since we were both 23 years old. And
Yeah.
Catherine Kelly Lang and I have become really close friends. And John McCook, my God, first time I ever saw John McCook, I was 19 years old when he was on stage. And we were actually working in the same summer stock theater in Indianapolis. But you know, I would love to go work with those people. I really would. Chris LeBlanc, Christian LeBlanc.
Yeah.
Who I've known since his first job out of college was on As the World Turns. So
Oh yeah.
I'd love to go there, but you know, I have to say this: the fans keep thinking that I can just go on another show.
Yeah.
That doesn't. First of all, I live east.
Yeah.
Second of all, I'm now caretaking my mom.
Yeah.
Down in Florida, and this is my priority right now. I've been here with my mom, except for a few weeks, all of the last 2 years, and a good deal of the time of the 2 years before that. So this is where I am, and you know, if I can get back and do a little something, that's great. I'm actually being honored by my high school in October.
That's nice.
One of the legends of my high school, and I'll go back home for a little bit, which will be fun because I still have so many friends there and cousins. So
that will be fun. Well, in the meantime, you know, as I mentioned, you're obviously busy with other things, the theater, and I know that the web series Thurston caught your eye.
Oh my God.
And that is a really great web series, by the way. I binge watched that one. It's really great.
Well, the creators of that show, Paul Awad and Catherine, are a husband and wife team. They're both college professors. She's the head of the theater department at the University of Northern Virginia, and he's the head of the film department at the Art Institute of Washington, D.C. And I was hosting the Indie Series Awards, their third year, when it was still in New York. I was actually doing an off-Broadway show at the same time called Marrying George Clooney.
Yeah.
George never showed up, but the name of the play was Marrying George Clooney. It was a very, very funny, very poignant play by a fabulous writer by the name of Amy Ferris. Amy, if you're watching, I'm giving you a plug. Amy Ferris, and it's the name of her book called Marrying George Clooney. She's brilliant. Anyway, I got asked by Roger Newcomb of We Love Soaps to host the Indie Series Award, and I knew nothing about any of these shows, nothing at all. So I went, I better look at some of them and figure out what's going on. And then a week before the award show, they called and asked me if I would do an opening song, and I went, really? You're giving me a week. I'm doing it at night, and you're giving me a week to learn a song, really? But the funny thing was, it was all full of all of these internet terms and stuff I knew nothing about. I had no idea what I was even singing, let alone I had no idea what any of it meant. So, but after the show, I had seen a bit of Thurston, and I walked straight up to the creators, and I said, "You're missing a character." And they said, "Really? Who?" I said, "You're missing the town madam."
Yeah. And
they said, "Oh, really?" So they called me about a month later and said, "Were you serious?" And I said, "I sure was." And they said, "Well, Catherine said, we've just written a family for you."
Yeah.
So they wrote me 3 outlaw sons and my character. And the outlaw sons show up at the end of season 1. And I show up in season 2 and season 3.
Yeah.
And Walt Willie from All My Children shows up as my ne'er-do-well husband at the end of season 2. And you can see it on Amazon.
Yes, it is. For free.
I know, for free.
Yeah.
Or you can go to the website, which is thurston-series.com.
Yeah.
And see it there on the website as well. But that was great fun. And then I did Tainted Dreams with everybody else in the soap world. And then I did a sci-fi noir mystery.
Yeah. Your daughter was in that one too, right?
Yeah, it was. Milgram and the Fast Walkers.
Yeah.
And then I just finished one episode of a new television series called After Forever. And there are a number of Broadway people in it, like Michael Urie is in it, who's a big Broadway actor, fabulous actor. And Kevin Spiritus is in it, who was on Another World, and earlier before that, he was on Search, I believe, way back when. And I don't know, I mean, they're not even done with post-production yet, and I don't know when that's going to be released. So that will be out in the fall, I believe. And then last year, I did a little cameo in the Robert De Niro film called The Comedian. And Bobby Rydell, if those of you of a certain age remember Bobby Rydell, who still looks fabulous and was such a nice guy. He and I did these cameos, and most of our stuff was left on the editing floor, but you can still see my name emblazoned across this when they do like one of the con things.
Yeah.
Like Comic Con, oh, this is for Actor Con.
Yeah.
And so that was fun. That film was released this winter, and I've just been doing a lot of theater. But right now, I turned down a film this summer. I just can't be away for very long.
Yeah. Well, it's priorities, and these opportunities will be there.
Yeah.
They'll be there when the time is right.
Hopefully. And in the meantime, I'm loving Florida. Miss my children, but they've been coming down. My kids have been coming down. So.
Yeah. Well, is it stormy there now?
It stormed a little while ago, and now the clouds are going to lift. It was sunny all day until about 4:00.
Yeah.
It's the rainy season.
It is hurricane season, and the tropical depression, Cindy or something is.
That missed us down here. I'm too far south for that. So it missed us.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah. Did you get it?
We have got. I can actually hear it thundering now. So
oh, wow.
I hope that the internet connection lasts till the end of the show. But yeah, we've had a few storms here and there, and it's been so hot. So.
Look at time. So yeah. So I'm enjoying it down here, and it's beautiful. I mean, it's beautiful. My mother's lived down here for 41 years, so it's she knows it very well, and I know it well too. So it's great.
Yeah. So Thurston, I'm assuming it wrapped up because it kind of ended like they were wrapping up all the storylines.
We lasted 3 seasons, and that was the plan.
Yeah.
And the creators have gone on to do some other things. That was never their genre at all. Their genre was more horror and mystery. And Catherine came up with this idea, and they went, okay, let's try it. And look what happened.
Yeah.
And we did all these beautiful historic spots all over Virginia and Maryland. I mean, it's a beautiful show.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, the production quality is amazing.
So beautiful. In fact, we had when I went to do a play about a year and a half ago, the people up at this theater said, "My God, what kind of a budget do they have for that?" I went, "Like zero," because most web series are done like on zero money.
Right. Yeah.
Except for Tainted Dreams. But it's amazing what is being turned out on a shoestring.
Well, they did a lot with very little then, because you can't tell that it was done on basically a budget.
It looks like a huge budget. Huge budget. I've been asked to do another one in August in New York, and we're trying to work out the details as far as timing goes, which will be very, very interesting. And she's kind of more of a Barbara Ryan type.
Oh, that'll be fun.
and they wrote the role for me, so that's fun. Yeah. I can't talk more about it, though.
Well, that just means that you will have to come back and talk about it when you can. Well, as we mentioned, Thurston and Tainted Dreams are both available on Amazon. You can watch it for free, whether you have a Prime account or not. It doesn't matter.
There's something else too. I mean, I did a short film
Yeah, yeah.
film, which actually was nominated for Best Comedy at the LA Film Fest 2 years ago. It's called Libby, Libby.
Yeah.
If you go to Vimeo,
Oh,
if you just
yeah.
Google Libby, I think it'll come up on Vimeo, and you can watch it for
Oh,
free.
okay. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I need to check that out.
Very sweet little film made by a young Steven Spielberg who now just won at the New York Film Festival, won for Best Writer there. He's done now probably 10 films.
Yeah.
He just graduated from college.
Wow.
Yeah, hello. But I loved it. I actually pursued that. He already had cast somebody else in the role, and I read the breakdown, the description of it, and I pursued him like mad. I threw myself and said, "You got to hire me."
Yeah.
About a woman who wants to dance, you have to hire me.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but it's very sweet. It's very sweet. Go watch it.
Yeah, I will. I will watch that. And actually, I need to watch the Fast Walkers too because I haven't watched that one yet. That's the only one of your shows that I haven't watched yet.
Mind blowing. That series is. I play a Broadway actor diva in that. I don't know why.
Yeah. That's so far out of left field.
I know.
Well, okay, so that you can watch on YouTube, I think, right?
On YouTube.
Yeah.
Libby, you can find. I mean, if you just Google Libby, Libby, you should be able to find it. Or if you even do Colleen Zenk Libby or Libby Colleen Zenk, it'll pop right up.
Okay. Okay, we'll check that out, and I'll post the links under this interview afterward. So
link it up.
And people can follow you on Twitter. You're on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, I'm not as active on Instagram as I probably should be. I haven't linked my Instagram with Twitter and Facebook like you can do all that.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to put it everywhere.
Yeah.
A lot of people do all that, and it goes everywhere. I don't.
Yeah. So sometimes you just want something to be on Facebook or on Twitter or on Instagram and not all three. So
follow me on Twitter. Please forgive me. I'm an absolute political hound, and I may not be of the same stripes you are. So just forgive me. But I'm a history buff. It's what I do now. What I do right now. I read. And I take care of my mom.
Yeah.
So I read everything, all sides of everything, and I have a book in my hand every minute of the day.
Well, you're in the perfect part of the country to be reading. I mean, you can't ask for a better view.
And I'm working with the zoo down here too, which is pretty cool.
Really?
Yeah,
that is cool.
I know. I'm very, very excited. I just actually started officially working with them about a month and a half ago. And I had
so what are you doing?
They do a gala every year called Zubilee.
Zubilee, I like that.
Zubilee, and it's their big fundraising gala, and it'll be in February next year. And I went this year, and I was so impressed. There were like 800 people there, and they turned the zoo into like Disneyland with live animals. It's unreal, and 20 restaurants. And there were 6 bands, live bands all around. It was unbelievable. I was so impressed. And so, and I started going to that zoo in 1976. And it was a family-run zoo at the time, and now it's not. Now it's a non-for-profit, and they have a board of directors and all that.
Right.
But I was very, very impressed, and so I approached them. And I said, "Look, I know how to fundraise. I know how to help." And they're halfway through a $34 million capital campaign to redo all the buildings at the zoo. So I came on board, and I'm on the not only on the main committee for that, but I'm also on the silent auction subcommittee. So if anybody out there has something of great value, and these are high-end items, great value that you would like to donate, tweet me, private message me, and let me know, and maybe we'll bring something down.
Yeah. Well, that is so cool that you're doing that. That's awesome. Well, do you have anything that you would like to add? Anything else you would like to add before we go?
You you've been very thorough. I mean, very, very thorough. And I didn't know how this was going to go, guys. I've never done this before. So I'm new. I'm like green or aqua. And, and I'm at my mom's. So you see some of her, Florida-ish artwork behind me. And I just want to thank the fans. I just want to thank the fans for always being there for us and continuing to support after all these years. And when that beautiful picture came out this week of, a few of us from World Turns and some from Guiding Light, and there was such an outpouring of love. It just warmed my heart. I can't tell you. So I really appreciate all of you for being there for us. And if you ever see our names anywhere, if we're doing anything, if you see us doing a play or a film, just continue to support. It means a lot. You have no idea. I may have been in your lives for 32 years, but now you've been in mine more. So thank you. And thank you, Paula.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I hope that you come back because, like I said, I had 10 more questions, but I threw some of them out because,
I get a motor about it. I'll get off on one thing and I'll answer 5 questions before you answer them.
Yeah. Well, this was a lot of fun. And like I said, thank you so much for doing this. I know that you've got a lot on your plate, but obviously you don't like the downtime, so.
Thank you so much. And I'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I will post a link to the interview online in a few minutes once it's had a chance to process.
Great.
So put that out there. If anybody missed it live, they can watch later. So
great. I'm trying to remember the name of the place. I made my Nashville debut a couple of years ago.
Oh, really?
With a wonderful singer-songwriter by the name of Johnny Rogers.
Yeah.
And Johnny's unbelievable. And Johnny brought me down, and I sang with him. I'm trying to remember the place that we were at. It was in Franklin.
Yeah.
I have a great hat from it. Anyway.
If you remember the name, let me know, because I may have either been there or know what you're talking about.
I know you do. It's a venue, beautiful venue.
Yeah.
Not a giant venue, but a great, terrific venue, and they get great people there.
Yeah.
And so it was really fun. It's a beautiful area you live in. Beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I think so. There's a lot of different things. A lot of things to offer, and Nashville is a great entertainment town.
So much fun. So much fun.
Yeah. Well, if you're ever out this way, let me know.
I will. Thanks again.
Thank you so much. Thank you. You have a good rest of the day, and stay out of the storms.
Yeah. Stop raining.
Okay. Bye-bye.